Hello, biologists. Today we will be talking about one of the most significant topics in biology, which is ecology, and one of its lessons, food web. First of all, do not confuse food web with food chain. Food web is a model that shows the complex network of feeding relationships in or beyond an ecosystem. In short, it is whose energy goes where, who eats who. While food web is a sequence that link species by their feeding relationships, food chain is more like a line or chain in the food web. Look at this food web that shows the organisms from Great Plains and Great Basin. In this example, we have the burrowing owl that preys on rattlesnake which prey on prairie lizard prey on harvester ant, and ant which eats big sagebush, which is connected with the next idea, trophic levels and relationships in the food web. First of all, what are trophic levels? Trophic levels are levels of nourishment in the food chain, or which level eats which level to get energy. In this food chain, we can see 4 trophic levels. First of all, the big sagebrush counts as primary producer. Producers are organisms that get energy from abiotic factors. In this case, big sagebrush gets energy from the sun and water. The next trophic level is the primary consumer. Consumer is any organism that gets energy by eating other organisms, dead organisms, or abiotic factors. Harvester ant is the one that eats abiotic factors, or the big sagebrush in this case. Note that primary consumers are usually herbivores. Going up to the trophic levels, the next ones up are secondary consumers, which are the ones that eat the primary consumers and anything below to get energy. Based on this chain, it is prairie lizard. The secondary consumers are usually omnivores and can be carnivores. The last trophic level on this food web is tertiary consumers. They are the ones that eat secondary consumers and anything below to get energy. In this case, burrowing owl is definitely a tertiary consumer, while rattlesnake is a maybe, because rattlesnake can eat secondary consumer, which is prairie lizard, but is still eaten by burrowing owl, which is a tertiary consumer. There are 2 other types or groups of organisms, unlike herbivores, omnivores, and carnivores, that have a pattern that fit in different trophic levels. They are decomposers and detrivores. Decomposers are the ones that breaks organic matters into smaller pieces, which is mostly used to have some nutrients returned to the soil for mostly the primary producers to grow, which is important because primary producers are the basics of trophic level pyramid. Example of decomposer in this food web is American burying beetle. On the other hand, detrivores are organisms that eat dead organisms, which help preserving nice environment. They are as significant as decomposers. An example of detrivore in this food web is earthworm. Most times the food web and food chain stay just like now the trophic levels do. Now, what if something unexpected happens? For example, there is a drought that causes the numbers of white forage peas to reduce. Will it have a huge impact which cause the number of animals of lots of species to drastically drop? No. In fact, it will only cause the number of white-tailed deer to drop, since white-tailed deer is a specialist in this food web that only eats winter forage peas. On the other hand, although the number of white-tailed deer drops, it will not affect on burrowing owl much because burrowing owl is a generalist. A generalist is a consumer that eats multi-types of organisms. Therefore, even if the number of white-tailed deer drops, burrowing owl will just need to eat other organisms. However, there are other cases that can cause a large number of organisms that will drop. This will occur when something happens to the keystone species or dominant species. Keystone species is species that acts as an important node to hold up the whole ecosystem. Dominant species are the most abundant species in the ecosystem. Most dominant species are primary producers. The keystone species in this food web is burrowing owl. If burrowing owls are extinct, the organisms that are once preyed by the burrowing owls will possibly grow exponentially, and those organisms that are the preys of the organisms that grows will drop drastically. The dominant species in this food web is the big sagebrush. They are eaten by a large number of primary and some secondary consumers. If they are extinct, primary and secondary consumers will drop drastically. If primary and secondary consumers drop drastically, tertiary consumers will also be endangered, which will cause the whole food web to collapse. Okay, this is the end of my video, and it really takes hours to make it. If you don't mind, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you for watching.